With all that's happening with the constant downfall of Microslop, more and more people want to just be done with it and move to Linux. I've seen a lot of videos about Wine and Proton and how good they've gotten recently, but all those tests were performed on newer, high-end equipment. What if you just have an older PC with a mediocre GPU? How well would those apps or games run, and would they even be usable? Well, let's give it a shot. What I have here is an old desktop of mine, which is an Ivy Bridge i7-4770 with 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM and a GeForce GTX 1650 GPU. I'll install Linux Mint and test out Wine on some apps, and then install Steam and test out Proton on some games. All will be compared against how they perform natively on this same hardware with Windows 10. Also, I'll be performing all tests without any mods or tweaks. Really, I'm just installing an OS, updating, installing the game and or app, and just running it. So, let's get into it. First, let's take a look at Passmark. In the CPU test, Wine actually pulled ahead overall, but both scored very close. In the memory test, it was a similar story, but this time, Windows pulled ahead a little bit. The Windows version of 7-Zip I installed with Wine, and it actually performed almost identically with the native Windows install, with Windows finishing really only a few seconds sooner. Cinebench R23 worked in Wine, however, it wasn't perfect and the bar graphs didn't populate the new scores after the benchmark was completed, so I just kept the timer up top and I zoomed in there. But as you can see, there was no performance issues here whatsoever, and actually Wine finished about 5 seconds sooner. In the multi-threaded run, as you can see, it's more of the same. Both performed almost exactly the same, with only a second difference between them. I tried installing the Windows version of Handbrake on Wine, but I couldn't make it work. Yes, there is a Linux version that I could have installed, however, I was testing Wine here, so I just left that out. In Heaven, I was impressed at how well it worked under Wine. Yes, it scored lower, but even on this older, lower-end hardware, it only scored about 15 FPS lower than Windows. Superposition, well, this didn't go so well. It ran, but as you can see, it doesn't look so great. The benchmark claimed it averaged about 25 FPS under Wine, but there are a ton of drop frames, and all around it's just not smooth. There could be some ways of fixing it, but again, that's not the focus of this video. Unreal Tournament 3's benchmark? Well, both did great as you can see, however the run on Wine looks different and scored a lot lower. So either there's a difference in the driver, which is possible because you know how great NVIDIA's Linux drivers are, or the benchmark application just isn't passing the proper config settings to the game engine. But regardless, both did well with Windows pulling far ahead, at least if the settings are the same. Now, let's take a look at how Proton does. Proton essentially is Wine as well, just pre-configured for optimal performance per game. This way, users can just hit play and not have to spend time configuring it. So here in Cyberpunk 2077, you'll notice again that the Proton run has a higher contrast. And it looks different even though the settings were set the same on both. But regardless, they performed about the same, with Windows averaging about 5 FPS higher on the benchmark.
We can peer into the minds of lower life forms via the Cortex scan. Rip the preliterate thoughts from their pathetic little brains.
In Destroy All Humans, they again performed great, with Windows pulling a few FPS ahead on average, but playing the game, it felt exactly the same on each. The input response felt the same, and nothing really stood out. I had problems running BeamNG when I tried this myself about a year ago, but this time, it again just worked. Both had similar results, as you can see here, and yeah, both just played great. This GPU never really got along with Raft, but even so, both felt about the same. Proton averaged about 4 FPS lower on average, but all in all, it was still very playable, and like I just said, felt about the same as the native Windows install. GTA 4. Well, I had some minor issues with the menus that I didn't get captured, but while playing the game, I had no problems at all. Actually, the Proton version felt smoother all around, oddly enough. I ran the benchmark, and that's where I got the average frame rates from. As I'm sure you know, this benchmark cuts off at around 60 FPS, and it won't give accurate results because of that. However, I kept these results as even in the regular gameplay, the frame rates were similar between the two anyways. GTA 5 was more the same. Both ran perfectly fine, and there's really nothing to talk about. They felt the same, and even though, as you can see, the Proton version had on average a lower frame rate, it felt just the same as the Windows runs. Nothing stood out even to talk about. It again just worked. In the benchmark, you'll see that Proton averaged close to 20 FPS lower, but I didn't notice any difference while playing it. And once again, I think the Linux or Proton version looks better. And by request, as usual, I'll let the last half of the benchmark run so you can see how it all performs and how they compare. So if you're looking to move from Windows and gaming is holding you back, well, you might want to take a look at Wine or Steam's Proton. I've been messing with this in the past and I wasn't really that impressed, but this time I was blown away at how good it's got. Not all apps will run yet, and maybe the apps that I couldn't get to run could be fixed with some tweaking. Linux I've always found as a rock-solid OS for servers, but has always been lacking for desktop use, in my opinion. But that looks to be rapidly changing, and I might be making the switch sooner than I thought. I'd love to finally put Microslop behind me and never look back. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, and also, have you made the switch? And if so, how's it going for you? Let me know down in the comments. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.